Hello, I am Raul Rivera, and this is the second video of my personal project for the SYI Summer Internship. Through this project, I hope to focus on what predominantly white congregations of all religious backgrounds can do to help advance the fight for social justice for marginalized communities. Today, we are talking about a tool that can help to educate and to foster community between a congregation and many people of different religious beliefs, and that is interfaith dialogue. Interfaith dialogue, also known as interreligious dialogue, is the cooperative interaction between people of different religious and spiritual beliefs. This is focused on the goal of coming together to have a positive conversation that breaks down a wall of division caused by differences in religion. This type of conversation also serves as a place where dialogue can occur without the fear of conversion being a focus. This type of conversation is meant to encourage unity while being able to give a place where groups can peacefully coexist with the differences in their religion. But to some, interfaith dialogue is talked about with taboo misconceptions. The biggest one being that conversion is the focus of all interfaith conversations.
I think interfaith cooperation is important. I think there's a necessity for us to understand our place within the community and understand who our neighbors are. And as Christians, we're called to partner with these neighbors and to do the work of the kingdom, which sometimes has implicit Christian language and sometimes doesn't, and includes people who believe and don't believe the same thing as us. And I think that's necessary for Jesus' mission on this world.
Yeah, in those spaces, I think it's so important to not have to feel like we have to water down our own faith, but to really talk about what are the stories in our faith tradition, what are the texts, who are the people and the icons that we sort of want to follow. I don't think we have to feel like we're trying to convert other people when we share those things, but it's like, no, this is kind of what influences me to have the beliefs that I have and then to act on those beliefs.
For many, the doubt that occurs before going into these types of conversation comes from this exact idea that the moment that they take part in these conversations, they are potentially going to be converted. But interfaith dialogue is a conversation where conversion is frowned upon. This is a time for people of different backgrounds to come together and discuss not what is the same in religion, but to come to a peaceful understanding of the differences that make each religion their own. This type of environment is not the place to call people's beliefs wrong. One of the best experiences that you can give to a congregation is to encourage them to take part in these types of conversations. This can be encouraged by pastors, by church leaders, and by every single member of your congregation. There are many varying ways in which interfaith dialogue can occur, especially ways in which this can occur while fostering community with your congregation and with outside members of your community.
One way is to actually put members of the interfaith community in dialogue with each other in public spaces. So having events that will put different faith groups together to talk about issues of common interest and help other congregations to see and community leaders to see us, essentially playing nice together in the sandbox where we can talk to each other about things. Another way is for joint community projects. Working together often helps people come to a greater understanding with each other. So in a major American city, there may be a homelessness problem. Well, that homelessness problem affects everybody in the city, not just Christians, not just Muslims, not just Hindus. And one thing that all faith traditions have in common is a strong sense of caring for neighbor. And so if that's the case, then you can get a whole bunch of different groups together and work to combat issues that may be affecting everybody in the neighborhood.
One of my favorite things to do to foster interfaith dialogue is to go to the Interfaith Connection events that my college chapel holds. In these events, we are able to learn about different religious, spiritual, and cultural backgrounds. When interfaith dialogue is left out of activities that occur in congregations, some negative outcomes can occur. We are at a time where there seems to be a lot of division between people of different faiths and religions, people who consider themselves spiritual but not aligning with a certain denomination, and people who identify as agnostic or even atheist. By not having these types of conversations, there can be many misconceptions that we make about all of these people, about the way that they live their lives, and about their own personal beliefs.
Failure to understand one's neighbor. If you live down the street from a Jewish synagogue, not engaging them, as a faith community and in interacting with them can lead to misunderstandings and confusion and secrecy. The same thing, we saw this with 9/11. After September 11th, we saw an uptick in violence against Sikhs and Muslims. Even though they're two very distinct religions, the failure to understand our neighbor meant that we did not at all do a good job of understanding the differences and being willing to celebrate the differences, or even just know the differences between traditions. And so that's a real problem, and you get stereotypes there. Another negative consequence is that you misrepresent a tradition, right? You say that they believe something when they actually don't. And that is equally as problematic.
Another outcome that can occur when not engaging in interfaith conversations is that members of the congregation can miss out on opportunities to engage in more work that can help the community and to join a conversation that is occurring outside of the church already.
I think you're left out of the conversation for sure. I mean, the conversation's happening outside of the church already, and I think if the church is not willing, the church big C is not willing to engage there, then we're actually missing an opportunity to really be partners in what God is doing in the world around us. I know it's cheesy and hokey kind of conversations, but we often talk about how God works through unexpected characters throughout Scripture, even speaking through an ass like Balaam said. God is working whether we're part of it or not, and I'd much rather be part of that. So I think in interfaith dialogue, that's one of the places that we see the Spirit at work, and that we're called to join in.
Using interfaith dialogue can be a great tool for your congregation, and there are many ways for you to start. There is a great TED Talk titled The Interfaith Amigos, Breaking the Taboos of Interfaith Dialogue. The theme of this TED Talk is radical collaboration, and the conversation occurring is being done so with a rabbi, a pastor, and an imam. I would suggest watching that video to see a really beautiful example of interfaith dialogue. There are also many tools out there, like the Be the Bridge nonprofit organization, that help individuals receive the tools and understanding to be able to engage in interfaith dialogue. I hope this video encourages you to take part in some sort of interfaith dialogue. Thank you for watching.